You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Les Oilers ont joui comme de la merde. And on that note, I'm done speaking French for the rest of the year. Let's get into it with the lead. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday, live from the Sports Closet studio. Look, now your mic stand's all in the shot.
Isn't it always?
You run in while we do the lead. That's better. That's better. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday. For those of you who do not speak both official languages, the lead today was just very simply, the Oilers played like shit.
Oh, you spoke French?
Yeah. Second show in a row we did. Yeah, we're really expanding our horizons.
That's good.
Welcome into the show live from the Sports Closet studio. $50 GC up for grabs every home game day edition of the show. Get ahead of your Christmas shopping for the sports fan in your life and check them out at sportscloset.ca. Loaded show this week. Or today, sorry. Yeah, we got Louie DeBrusk popping up in a little bit here. He's going to give us, I think he'll be our therapist again. He's kind of played that role a handful of times. It feels like we're always talking to Louie after a loss, but he's going to swing by and chat with us in about 15 minutes live from our nation's capital in Ottawa, because Louie will be back on the broadcast tonight. It's been 2 straight games since we've had the Lou Dog on doing an Oilers broadcast.
Last night was probably weird for him, because I know last time we did this, he was sat at home.
Mm-hmm.
This time he actually got to go do the game, because that's why he was on the show yesterday, right?
I think because he was traveling to Ottawa, maybe.
I thought he said Montreal.
I don't know. We'll have to ask him.
We're gonna find out.
But find out that and more.
Bottom of this.
Yeah. Boy, last night, as we get into things, also it is a short for Giant Game Day edition of the show. We just claimed Kasperi Kapanen.
What?
All right. Liam's made the breaking news sound, and yes, the Edmonton Oilers have claimed forward Kasperi Kapanen.
I swear they're only doing it because he plays for St. Louis.
I was going to say, take that, St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
Suck it.
The St. Louis Blues realized
goal.
they had a better, younger version of Kasperi Kapanen and Dylan Holloway, so they put him on waivers.
Oh, boy.
Edmonton picking him up. Cap it of $1 million.
Oh, is that it?
Stop it.
I thought he was $3 million.
No, he's back on a cheaper deal.
We'll take him.
That's
Why?
actually, I'm in on this now.
Maybe they'll just keep him for a game
We're
and
like
then
the
send him back
sixth,
down.
like reclamation project for him.
The third.
The third. Which, and how old is he?
He's only 28.
Exactly.
So he's 1 goal in 10 games this year.
Pretty good.
Coming
Not
off
bad.
a year where he scored 6 goals in 73 games.
Interesting. I'm in still.
Why?
It's been
I don't know. Why not? Like, they need a 12 forward tonight. Maybe they're literally just keeping him for 1 game and then sending him back on the waiver wire.
It has been 6 years since Kasperi Kapanen scored 20 goals in a season. Oh boy, I'm starting to like this less and less, guys.
Well, duh.
But what? It doesn't matter. If he's $1 million,
yeah, it does not matter.
Might just keep him until Arvidsson's healthy and then send him back down.
Which is probably what they're going to do.
How does it affect our waiver position?
No.
Okay.
Doesn't.
It's a fantasy football GM and me asking.
And you know what? Decent point. Decent question. I think you were not the only one wondering that. But Kasperi Kapanen, he's a right winger. So I think this is pretty obvious, or it's obviously an Arvidsson cover, but it also makes me sit here and go, oh boy, is Arvidsson hurt more than we think? Because it's been day to day for about 10 days now. I would also add,
why on the LTIR? Let's go. Let him rest.
I mean, there is that too. You could retroactively do it, and you're about halfway there to how long he'd have to sit on LTIR. So there is also that. Boy, this is an interesting one, because Kapanen's not that good anymore, but he was good at one point. Maybe he needs a change of scenery, but he's had multiple changes of scenery. I like it because I like shiny new toys. I don't like it because the player's not good, but I like it because he's cheap. Also, kind of looks like Liam. Can you pull up his NHL.com headshot?
No.
Are you looking at him on NHL.com?
Yeah, my mustache is way better.
I see some.
There's some curls there.
His NHL.com one it's got some longer flow to it.
Well, he got claimed off waivers by the St. Louis Blues in 2022-23. In 23 games, had 14 points for them. So maybe he's one of those guys where like the change of scenery is good
for a second.
a small sample size. What are you
Hmm.
humming at?
Someone said something in the chat, but now I want to check. They wouldn't have skated today, right?
Oh, someone said Jeff Skinner was on the second line.
I know, which is why I thought they skated today, but I don't think they do because it's back-to-back games. Connor Brown went down a little bit last night early in the game. Yeah, I know he played the rest of the night, but maybe it's one of those things where maybe Connor Brown is even 50-50.
So this is just we need a warm body move.
Well, Bob just tweeted.
Okay.
Said,
Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking.
He said Kapanen has some pace to his game and has seen PK minutes in Toronto and St. Louis.
Okay.
PK is 100% in 4 games.
Listen,
straight.
I don't hate this because it's risk-free.
I agree.
Like if you don't like him, you put him back on waivers, and St. Louis probably takes him right back because they would put him in the minors or whatever, right? So yeah, I think it's fine. You need a warm body. This guy, granted, 6 years ago had 20 goal potential, though he did score 15 in 63 games a couple seasons ago. So if he can kill and if he can bring you some amount of energy, it's fine. I do think, and people in the Odd Company YouTube chat are making some comments about this. Brandon, bring up Philp again. Calvin S. How about Philp? Even Drake from Calvin. Sure. And I get that. Like I want Noah Philp to be here over Derek Ryan still, because I think the lack of speed is continuing to be a little bit of a problem, and not necessarily speed in the sense of breaking into the offensive zone or straight line speed, but speed in the sense of like getting to dangerous areas fast. Like that's something the Oilers are very clearly struggling with right now. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the game last night. But if you're just popping in, John makes a good point. Hamblin's hurt right now. There also is the point of they have like no forwards in Bakersfield
because so many guys are hurt.
So that might explain it, because there is, again, another part of me as we digest this live on the air. By the way, if you had asked me an hour ago, hey, what are the chances the Oilers claim Kasperi Kapanen? I would have been like 1%. Like I wouldn't have expected it.
Now he's an Oiler.
Yeah. Why
would
would
jersey? Who's getting a jersey? You get a jersey?
Oh,
if he scores?
If he scores, then I'll get a jersey.
Let's go.
Oh, I regret saying that. No, I won't.
I will.
You will?
Okay, you're in.
Why not? I mean, he's got 1 goal all season. I feel like my chances are pretty good, but
some could say he's due.
Real or fake? Because you could get fake.
Fake goal?
Whoa.
Fake jersey.
Real.
No one does that.
No. You go to Sports Closet Studio and you do it like
The other layer of it, sorry, for Bakersfield, they're currently playing.
They're on the ice right now.
They're on the ice right now. It's been an eventful first period.
Okay, wait.
It's 1-0 to Abbotsford, and there's been a fight. Phil Kemp.
Where did St. Louis play most recently? They were in Carolina the other day, but they traveled back home. So I thought maybe it would have been very funny if they were like in Toronto tonight, and it was like, yeah, Captain, we're like, we need a body now. Yeah. Bakersfield,
just get a 2-way train ticket, in out, via Blue again tomorrow.
All right. So the Oilers claim Kasperi Kapanen. Who knows if he's in the lineup tonight? I would imagine it'd be pretty hard to. Again, can you get him from St. Louis to Ottawa in 6 hours? Like maybe,
but maybe he was claimed 3 hours ago. Like, I don't not knowing how like the reporting.
No, usually the player usually finds out at noon.
Oh wow!
What?
With connections, it's an 8-hour flight.
They might be able to hook something up though. Can you get him to somewhere close and have him drive? Can Kapanen take the train from Toronto?
I feel like
that's like 3 hours.
Then we're hooped. We'll have more on this in a
what
bit.
If he joins us?
The flight from Ottawa to St. Louis can't be more than
4.5 hours.
To drive?
Fly.
No.
That's what it says.
There's no
but he keeps saying
way.
He keeps saying connections, so I don't know how to do it without connections. So let's say it's 3 hours.
Like flight
no,
time.
It's got to be, dude. You can get from Toronto to Chicago in like an hour and a half.
Go flight time or something.
Oh, here's a comment from
Flight
Ryan. Oilers claim Kapanen. Thanks, Ryan.
Well, we've been talking about flying for the last 10 minutes.
Come on.
What do you think we've been talking about flying somewhere from St. Louis, Ryan?
Like a Google flights. You got to be like,
how long does a flight? An hour and 7 minutes.
There it is. It's close.
Kapanen's playing
We're
tonight.
good.
DK, fire up the PJ. This team ain't going 11-7 anymore.
Maybe 10-7. Jeez.
Yeah, boy, injuries. Okay, Louie's going to join us in 10 minutes. Kapanen, We don't know if this is good or not. It's surprising, though.
It's better than bad.
So is he playing tonight?
Nobody knows. We'll ask Louie.
No. Well, yes, we will ask Louie. What do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
And I bet it's one of those things where they'll do the montage before the game of him pulling up at like 4:30 our time. Or
Yeah, in his
4 hour
gear.
time or something. Sprinting in.
Yeah.
Home dresser.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about last night's game. Scoring summary for our friends at Charm Diamond Centers. Get a custom ring built and delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece program. It all comes with an unbeatable pricing policy. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. Last night was not charming for the Edmonton Oilers as they started that game really well. The way the first 15 minutes went for the Oil, I was like, ooh, this might be a 4-5-1 kind of game here. They were buzzing. And then things kind of fell apart. It was 0-0 heading into the final minute in the second period. And I will say, I think frustration for me started to set in at about the halfway point of the second period when Montreal was starting to have a bit of a pushback. And you started to get the feeling that, okay, maybe that wasn't the Oilers playing well for the last 30 minutes. Maybe that was Montreal playing really bad and Edmonton didn't find a way to capitalize. That's exactly what it ended up being. So Montreal strikes first. Brendan Gallagher's 8th of the season. Wow. What a bounce
Future
back.
Oiler.
He's having a great bounce back season.
Future Oiler.
But again, Montreal, what do? Throw pucks on net with a guy standing in the middle of the ice. I don't think the Oilers did that once in the first 40 minutes of the hockey game, or at least it felt that way. So Montreal makes it 1-0. And then in the third period, I just felt like the Oilers were flat again. And again, you would hope that after playing the way they did for the first 30, generating the amount of zone time they did for the first 30, that maybe they would sit there in the second intermission being a team that's more skilled, more veteran, all of that stuff, and go, boys, we can beat these guys. Let's just pull up our boots a little bit and get to work. They didn't do that at all. The third period was their worst period of that game.
Yeah, it was. And it just seemed like they just didn't have it in them for whatever reason. And you look through the stats and 4 high danger chances throughout the game. Does that include crossbars when they do that stuff?
It depends where the shot's from, I think, but yeah.
Okay, because News did hit the bar, but it's just like
He hit 2 posts, I think.
did he hit 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so just very flat and I don't know, just very unlike them, I guess. Especially like you'd think they'd be frustrated with the way the last 3 games have kind of ended for them in the third period as well. Like they've thrown leads away. It's about time they kind of turn the script on that and put it in their own side. I don't know.
Caden Gooley makes it 2-0. Credit to Sportsnet for the highlights, by the way. This was at the 5:52 mark of the third period. Edmonton, with their big guns on the ice, just can't get the puck out of their own zone. A decent amount of standing around here. And listen, does Calvin Pickard want to stop that one? Yes. You want to save on that shot. Am I going to sit here and blame the goalie who had a .912 save percentage and allowed 2 goals on 24 shots when the Oilers couldn't piss a drop offensively against one of the worst defensive hockey clubs in the NHL? Like, no, anyone who's sitting there last night saying this is some sort of indictment on the Oilers goaltending, I think they're wrong.
I couldn't agree more. There's been back-to-back Monday starts now for Calvin Pickard where it's been a 3-0 final and he's been pretty decent in the game as well. And I just don't understand how this team has been just shut out so many times this season already. And even games where they haven't been shut out, like the Dallas game, it was such a late goal. The Columbus game was such a late goal too. It's like, really, what is that, 4-5 now where they've been shut out? Or close to, I guess. It's just, they can't figure it out offensively, and it's just ruined in the season so far.
It's like we have an identity crisis for some reason.
I said this, like, I can't believe how many things have gone wrong, and this team is somehow over 500. Like, nothing is currently good on this team.
I mean, if you go straight wins, losses, they're a hair under 500, but their points percentage is just
stats. They're over, right?
Points percentage wise, they're 526. Yeah, good point. Good point.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense how this team is honestly able to win games.
No, and again, and like these are a lot of the same things we were seeing at the beginning of last season, and they figured it out. Like, it's bad shooting percentage luck, it's defensive zone breakdowns, and on some nights it's goaltending. This is what plagued them at the start of last year for a lot of those games they lost.
I was thinking about this yesterday. and maybe I just completely wiped it out of my mind, but I just don't remember the start of last season and the way I felt.
You've definitely wiped it from your mind.
I know. I remember being.
I said the McDavid era was unraveling.
Yeah, I remember being extremely upset about things, but like I don't remember like game to game and just like how they were in general. But like I feel like they were scoring more goals, and they were
not really.
No, okay.
I mean, there were some nights where Campbell was like more of the problem, and they were popping home more. But like
kind of
it.
Sucked.
Yeah. Last night just stunk. And then Jake Evans ends it with the Hail Mary empty netter. Okay. Oilers lose 3-0 to the Habs. Maynard is in and says, Tyler yesterday, in quotes, I'm not worried about Sam Montembeault making 40-plus saves and the Oilers losing 3-2. Well.
What about 3-0?
Yeah. Yeah. Not a great look for me on that quote.
Come on, man. Back us up. Give us some good quotes from yesterday.
All right, but we move on. Oilers lose 3-0. We'll have more talk about this game. I really want to get into the comments because I think a bunch of you are very fired up, and I think some of it is...
As you should be.
Yeah, I think some of it warranted. Is deserved and warranted. I think some of it is maybe coming from an incorrect place with some of the criticism, but we'll dissect all that. We'll get into the YouTube chat in a little bit. For the people who are just joining and commenting, hey, the Oilers claimed Kasperi Kapanen. Yes, we know. We talked about it. Will he be in the lineup tonight? Who knows? But let's continue our conversation about last night's game by going out to the Star Mechanical guest line. Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. Let's check them out. We do have them, right? Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Oh, sorry. It's Louie DeBrusk appearance on the show is brought to you by our friends at Greta. Downtown pregame, postgame, great spot to watch the game. And they got arcade games for the intermission. Arcade, bar, street food. Greta is the spot. As we welcome in Sportsnet analyst Louie DeBrusk. Louie, we're going to send you on assignment because we know you're in Ottawa. Can you just wander around and see if you find Kasperi Kapanen anywhere so we know if he's playing tonight?
Yeah, you know what? A quick pickup that just happened, and I looked at that and just looking at his numbers right now to try and have some info on him. Obviously, he's been around the league for a long time. A player, again, that has had some opportunity with some really high-quality players. One reason why I think Edmonton wanted to pick him up is that he has played with the likes of Matthews in Toronto, Marner in Toronto, Nylander in Toronto. He's had different opportunities. In Pittsburgh, same thing. He's played with some high-quality players. Hasn't really been able to put it together since early in his career. He did have one 20-goal season. But there's a guy you don't know. Right now, and I know I listened to a little bit of you guys talking before coming on, this team can't score goals right now. There's just something going on about the puck not going in the net. I think it's leaked into their minds. It's frustrating. You saw McDavid slam the boards after Hyman missed that one really good chance on a one-timer. That's stuff you can't control. It's really hard to control those type of emotions, but that's a telling sign that they're gripping the sticks, and right now things aren't happening for them. So maybe a guy comes in here, gets a fresh start. I mean, they've got a combined 7 goals in the top 6 wingers right now playing for the Edmonton Oilers. You got 2 guys on the left side that have 1 goal combined in Nugent Hopkins and Podkolzin. On the right-hand side with Corey Perry there, he's got 3. Arvidsson has 2. But you've got 3 and 3 with Hyman and Perry if the lines stay the same, which most likely they will unless Kapanen is here and able to play. That's not enough. I'm sorry. You've got the 1st and 5th ranked assist leaders in the National Hockey League over the last 10 years. Need to be better. Someone needs to put that puck in the net. So, I mean, listen, it's 20 games in. Earlier in the year, we all talked about the same things we've talked about. The fact that they're down in power play, they're down in penalty kill, they're generating chances, but the puck's not going in the net. They're not executing, and you're like, okay, they'll work it out. This is something they're going to get going. Well, you're a quarter of the way through the season now. It's time to figure this out.
I can't tell if this is like too much of a frustrated fan take when I say this, but I watched that game last night, and the word perimeter is now getting thrown around a bunch. The Oilers said it themselves after the game, a few of them doing their media avails. But they played that first period, and they possessed the puck so well. Yeah. And in the moment, it's like, okay, they're playing well, they're the better team. And then a few things don't go their way, and it felt like they just didn't want to work out of it. They wanted to skill their way out of those struggles and out of that deficit last night. And that's what's frustrating to me with this team sometimes is like, just put your head down and work hard. We saw this group do it in the playoffs for basically 2 straight months. And this year, it feels like when something goes wrong, they just want to resort to their little flutter saucer passes and all of that. And they don't just want to go to the middle of the ice and make something happen.
I actually thought they were playing fine. I watched that game from the first drop of the puck all the way through until that goal from Gallagher at 28 seconds left in the second period. And it was a dagger. And I remember looking at that going, avoidable. I mean, Matheson comes down the wall. Where's the guy that's attacking that guy down the wall? Nobody's there. How does that puck get to the middle of the ice? Secondly, how is Gallagher's stick on the ice in the middle of the ice in the slot? Credit them for making the play because it was there, but it shouldn't have been there. And I do believe that it's the frustration once again. I think it's the frustration about the chances that they had, the time they spent in the offensive zone that didn't go their way. And again, this is something that we've talked about earlier in the season. Frustration sometimes trickles in there, and that's fine to happen every once in a while. That's fine. But when it starts to be a consistent thing where you start to just overload, it sets the tone for the way you play the game. Compete is the number one asset right now for the Edmonton Oilers. I agree with what some of the fans are saying about getting inside. We've talked about that at length too. This is an inside game. The entire game, you're trying to protect the front of your net and you're trying to get to the front of the opposition's net. It's the entire game. And right now, they're not getting to the inside enough. They are not getting to the inside enough. When you do it more often, you draw more penalties, you get more chances. You create that chaos. You get recoveries from pucks because the team has to collapse back in front of the net. A lot of good things happen in the offensive zone, but I'll switch it back to the defensive zone again. That pass from Matheson gets to the middle of the ice. Give Brendan Gooley credit. He's a Caden Gooley, so not Brendan. The older brother that played against Jake, I always go to him. Caden Gooley, he shoots that puck bar down. I mean, great shot by him. Congratulations. But nobody was in the lane. They're still at the bottom of the league in block shots. They're not paying the price, and they're not really committing to being a hard team to play against in their own zone. And it's not going to all be fixed overnight, but when you start to see the signs of a team that's really, really desperate to not allow a team to get to the inside, it's noticeable. It's really noticeable. And they're playing against a team tonight that is desperate to find identity and desperate to get on a roll where they can put some wins together too. So this will be a real test for them tonight against the Ottawa Senators. But I thought the game was in control is what I was going to say. I thought they were in control of the game. And something you mentioned there, Tyler, that we've also mentioned earlier, and they did do in the playoffs, they've done the last couple of years, they're comfortable in those tight games where they would just keep the pressure on enough but not be a liability defensively, and they'd wait for their opportunities to find those scoring chances because they have the talent to do that. They haven't been doing that as much this year as far as just staying in the pressure of the game. And that's something they're going to have to figure out. That's called game management. Game management is, listen, we're not getting rewarded right now, but we know if we continue to do this, we're going to get this. There's nothing wrong with going to overtime 0-0 against an Eastern Conference team, in my opinion. When you're playing the East, you don't care about the extra point. Yeah, you want to win every single point, every single game. But if you're playing the right way in your mind, you should be totally fine going to overtime 0-0 if that's what it takes.
You mentioned off the top the wingers that are struggling in the top six, but we see Jeff Skinner on the fourth line now for a while.
Yeah.
Do you think it's time they kind of push him back up and see if he can get going again? He does have 3 goals this season.
I've been calling for a little bit of a shuffle there altogether. Nothing against Podkolzin. I think he did some great things when he first went on the line. I think there was an opportunity in the first period that he came down the middle of the ice and he didn't shoot. He passed it off and they never got a shot on net on the rush. But he was probably right around the top of the circles, just above. He's got a rocket of a shot. Mm-hmm. That's just confidence. That's just confidence for a young player saying, hey, get that puck to the net. I've seen a lot of guys score, especially early in games. I believe it was the first period. So it was, listen, Montembeault, he hasn't seen a lot of shots from Podkolzin. He has no idea how fast it comes off of his stick. Test him. Test him early, see what happens. Follow it up for a rebound. Follow it up for recovery. Don't overpass the puck is what I'm saying. And I just feel like when you're not confident with the puck, it shows. It shows that you delegate. You don't want to take that chance. As far as Skinner's concerned, yeah, you know what? Listen, this is a guy that scored his entire career, and he's kind of had some ups and downs. Recently, it hasn't been great for him, but we know that he can get the job done. It'll be interesting tonight to see what Chris Knobloch does. There was obviously not a morning skate today. I was down at the rink watching the Senators, talked to Travis Green a little bit, and just tried to get some insight from their side. But it would be interesting to see what he rolls out there for line combinations tonight, how he goes about it, because I do believe it needs a change. I think it needs a change, and it needs it now. And, you can say, well, we're going to continue to stay with this because it kind of gets together every once in a while. It's time to give some other guys some opportunities to play with 97 and 29, in my opinion. And I think that Connor Brown was another option for me. Connor Brown was, he's going to make plays. He's going to get a puck out of his zone. Maybe he finds a hot streak. This is a 2-time 20-goal scorer. It's not like he hasn't scored before. So maybe an elevation there with 11 and 7 that you're going. You can give other guys different ice time. No question they need to get Jeff Skinner going, though, to answer your question long-winded. This is a guy they brought in to score goals, period. But if you bring a guy in to score goals, you got to put him in a position to score goals. And in a position to score goals is playing with elite centermen that they have that can pass the puck. And so, yeah, I have no problem if they want to elevate him, and he'll have a little extra jump in his stride too. That's something that you always want to see, is someone excited to be up the lineup and someone excited to be up there and get a chance. They need that right now. They need some excitement in guys that are playing with the top players to generate. And I'm not taking this all away from Connor and Leon either. I mean, listen, they've been fantastic at times this season, but it's been a slow start for them as well. I mean, Leon now he's right up there in goals. He really found his game, I think, when Connor went down with the injury. Connor has worked himself into this season. Obviously had a terrific 3 games there with the 1,000 points, but -5 in the last 2 games. I know one's an open netter, but you can't have your top players being dash players. They have to be even at best if they want to be successful in this league. So everybody's got to pull a little harder on that rope. Defensively, I think it's a 5-man unit and a goaltender as well. I'm not just going to lean on the defense and say you need to be better. Everybody needs to be better defensively. There needs to be layers of defense that are hard to penetrate to get to the inside.
Yeah, I think back pressure has been an issue for them as of late too. Like, we watched that Goalie goal, and there were the 3 forwards that eventually worked their way into the frame of the highlight, barely moving their feet. Like, there's a handful of issues here. Speaking of defense, I see it popping up in the chats. I want to ask you about Evan Bouchard. I know we kind of talked about him last week, but the struggles have continued here. And where I, in a way, feel for Paul Coffey and Chris Knobloch is, okay, the right side of your blue line was weak coming into the year, or thin, I should say, coming into the year. Now you don't have Darnell Nurse on the left side. You have Evan Bouchard, who's struggling mightily. I get that the fan base is saying, sit him down, play him less, all this stuff. But that's not really a luxury the coaching staff has right now. So what do you do?
I would tell you the one area they can do that is the power play. You know, like, sometimes you need a message. And I would not be surprised to maybe see Ekholm get some time on that top power play unit, because it hasn't been great. You know, they've had some great stretches, some great games where they're moving around. But for Evan Bouchard, and we've talked about this, when he's getting pucks blocked, getting to the net, when he's hitting his own players with an outlet pass, which happens more than occasionally with him, he's just not focused and he's not ready. He's just not engaged in the game. When Evan Bouchard is engaged, he's elite. He's elite. He's one of the best in the league. But it's a real big difference from the Evan Bouchard that's making those plays and the Evan Bouchard that's not. He hasn't found that game yet this year. And I think it's frustrating for him too. We've talked about being a contract year. I don't care what anybody says, it plays in your mind 100%, especially when you put up a point per game and you've led the playoffs in defensive scoring 2 years already in your career. You're thinking about long-term and what it's going to be as far as a contract. That's just part of the game, though. That is the nature of the business. So you have to deal with that. We're 20 games in now, guys. So, you know, we talked about this at the start of the year, and I said, I'm not really that worried about it. This is a team that went to the final. They're trying to find their game. They're trying to figure things out. They need to figure things out here. They need to get on board, and they need to get together. The word connected's been thrown around a lot this year with the Edmonton Oilers. It's been thrown around a lot with a lot of teams in the league when you listen to it. But it's a really important word. They don't feel connected at times. And it's those little lapses where they're not connected is where they're getting punished. It's really hard to be perfect in a game, but that's almost what it feels like they have to play like right now. Because whenever they make a mistake, whenever they're not connected, it seems to be in the back of their net. And that's a real hard pill to swallow when you feel you should be getting rewarded more for what you're doing. But that is the nature of it. This is a very difficult league. And I'll go back to what Leon Draisaitl said not even a week ago. This league can humble you really fast. Be humble, go out there, play connected, play for one another. They have the tools in that room to get the job done when they're connected. That's the most important thing for me right now. And Evan Bouchard right now, like, listen, it has not been a good year for him. Sorry, it just hasn't. It's been a tough year for him. He hasn't found that offensive touch. He's really struggled to make plays at times. He's bobbled the puck immensely. He's been, you know, on a lot of goals against, you're watching him going, what is he thinking on that play? There's a little bit of overthinking going on in his game. For me, that's what I think. I feel he's overthinking the situation right now. Evan Bouchard is the best when he's just free-flowing and playing. He's not thinking. He's just making decisions. He's assertive in his actions, and he needs to get back to that. Because when he does, like I said, one of the most elite defensemen in the game.
So, you got some?
Well, no, it's like you can see him thinking on the ice sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, it's funny because we talked about it. Was it last year or the year before? I'm trying to remember. Might even been last year. I get the years mixed up. Sorry, guys. But there was a start of the season. It was last year because there was a stretch where he was doing it, and I talked to him the next day after a game. And listen, these guys all know this. This isn't. As a player, you know when you're not playing well. As a player, you know when you're fighting it. 100%. We all see it glaringly. We're watching the games on a nightly basis. But trust me, they feel it. They're living it. They know it. And he came into the room the next day, and I said, okay, like, what's going on with the shin pad assassin? You know, like you just can't seem to get a shot through. And he just looked at me and goes, if I hit another shin pad, I think Koff is going to kill me. So theyese guys know this. It's not like, and they're trying to do the right things. Like that's the hard part about this game. It's intense. They're getting paid very well to do a job where the elite people that do it in the world. They have a very high pressure filled job, but it's the greatest job in the world when things are going great. It's the worst job in the world when things aren't going great, because these guys have pride. They want to be the best. They want to be good. So I really do believe, though, it's a clean slate. You have to literally say, okay, play free. You can tell, and it's a great point by you to say you can see him thinking on the ice, because you really can. You can see him processing in his head, like, where am I going with this puck? No, it's got to be like this in this league. It's got to be like this. If you're going through the neural passageways a little bit too long, you're going to get picked off. You're going to get hit. You're going to be in trouble. So, and that's what happens. You know, that's when we say connected, when we say teams have flow. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about that clean out pass. Someone's supporting. Someone's coming into a lane. Bang, bang, bang. And when it happens, it makes the game look easy. It makes it look so easy. Trust me, it's not. But that's what it looks like when everybody's connected.
I mean, hey, the Oilers had won 3 in a row. You were on the call for all 3 of those games. You're not on the call for back-to-back games, and then they lose back-to-back games. But what do you want to see tonight from the Oilers, aside from them seeing you between the benches again? What's the key to victory, I guess?
If I had that much influence in the game, I'd own a team by now, because I'd have a little insight as to what's going to happen. But you know what? It was neat for me to step away and look at the game from a different perspective for a couple games, and you know, I felt the same way you guys did. You know, when I looked at the games, I was totally comfortable with the game. Although you would like to see, you know, Hyman make good on that chance, but that happens in games. It's happened a lot for him this year, and again, he's been pretty good at not allowing that frustration to get to him and still get those chances, which is key. I think tonight, this is a team they're playing. Like I said, every single guy that we talked to in the room today and that I talked to said the same thing. They feel the record could be better than what they've played this year. It's a big difference from a team that for years is trying to find that confidence in the league as a young team. They feel that they're doing the right things. They just need to make sure they're consistent with it. They've had a couple days off here. They're rested. They're ready to go. And I think they're going to be up against a really tough, hard-playing Ottawa Senators team that the priority right now under Travis Green is being a very difficult team to play against. They attack, they have pace, they're physical, and they have skill. And they have defensemen that can get up in the play and make plays. You have to be very aware of the defensemen coming up in the rush, because they will be there. So for Edmonton, again, 5-man unit all over the ice. Play a contained, tight game. Make this team defend, which we say every single night, because I believe when they're playing their game, they're one of the best cycle teams in the game. They really are. They're incredible at moving that puck around the offensive zone. They're incredible at generating chances. But they have to have that shot mentality, like you guys were talking about earlier. Get to the inside, make this team defend, try and draw some penalties inside by making sure you're getting to that ice. But at the same time, all 5 guys got to be back collapsing in the zone. They have to play a really tight, connected game against the Ottawa Senators team that has a lot of skill and can put pucks in the net. They need to work at it tonight.
If you never ever need a little ego boost, you go read the comments on our show when you pop on, because the people love hearing from you. We love having you on. Have a good call tonight, Louie. Thanks for doing this.
Right on, man. Thanks, guys. Hope it's a good one. All right.
Yeah. Louie DeBrusk, our friends over at Greta. You'll hear him tonight as Edmonton looks to bounce back against the Ottawa Senators. And yes, the YouTube chat, you guys do love him. It's great.
Louie's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've sat in on a Louie interview.
Yeah, usually when we do our show prep, it's like, what do you want to ask Louie tonight? And we come up with like 3 things, because it's just like, boop, lob them to him, and he just hammers them out of the park.
Yeah, like, and he hits you with the truth.
Yeah, and he was actually a bit spicier than I thought he'd be today.
Well, that's what I appreciate about him coming on, is like, he stands right next to these guys, and I'm sure what he says to us, he's not afraid to say to them as well, which makes him a great guest to have.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I said I wanted to get into some comments here on a Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the show. So that is exactly what we are going to do. Let's go to the YouTube chat, brought to you by our friends at Odd Company and the delicious new Nation Beer, a crisp, clean lager crafted for game day and every day. Enjoy one tonight, enjoy one tomorrow. There's never a bad time to crack open a crispy Nation Beer from Odd Company. Very excited to be partnering up with them. Looks good, Helium.
Such a good design.
Yeah, it's
just
beautiful.
Catches your eye immediately. But
hang it in the Louvre, they say.
They should. Do you know if you ever
473 milliliters too? A little bit extra.
Tall boys.
If you ever go to the Louvre, which I've been to, have you ever been?
Oh, flex.
Have you ever been to France?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever seen? There's I can't tell you where it is. It's a massive place, but there is a monkey picture, and they painted this picture of a monkey sat on a stool, and he has a little hat on, and it just doesn't make any sense.
It speaks to you though.
Well,
it's a monkey wearing art.
It is art. Yeah,
it is art.
In comparison to everything else in there that has all this meaning, I want to know what this monkey means.
All I did when I went to the Louvre is I ran to the Mona Lisa, stared at her for about 15 minutes, and ran out.
Did you stand in line or you just go to the side?
I was lucky because the day we went to the Louvre, there was a strike. So like everyone was just like outside, and we're like, what the hell? And all of a sudden, like this one guy's like, come down to this like there's like this
the
like
secret one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And still it's crowded there. And because they were like striking, the guy's like, you know what? Screw it. You go in. And like we had like a Louvre like before everyone could go in, and we like bolted there. So we're like first people on site.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I just stood at the
Me
side.
and Mona.
Derek Ryan is in. How about the time where Bouchard broke the record in the playoffs for a D-man? Y'all are so quick to forget. And listen, yes, it's game 20. Like people will, I guarantee you we'll be singing a different tune about this team come January, come December, potentially come tomorrow. Yes.
We better.
Do you know what happened in that 19th game last season? They beat Washington 5-0, which was
this is tonight's the Washington game.
Yeah, so it was this time last year.
It's the
that they turned
the slump buster.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
The thing for me is, and this was one of the concerns I did have coming into the year. And it was that, is there an emotional letdown to be had after the run you went on, right? And I think that's a totally fair question to have as well, and a fair concern to have had. And I think we're seeing it a bit where last night, can you get up for November 18th in Montreal when you sit there and maybe you still and still obviously remember how it feels to be getting up for the games in Florida and getting up for the games against Dallas and Vancouver? Like, is there that emotional letdown coming back to regular season hockey? Because all you want to do is get back to that feeling of the Stanley Cup playoffs and get your crack at winning a Stanley Cup again because you were so close. And I think what we saw last night was they were down 2-0 and weren't exactly a team who sat there and went, let's fight. Let's give this our all for 15 more minutes. They packed it in.
I agree with you. I think the problem they should have with that is if you can't get up for a game in Montreal, then you're probably not going to get those games later in the season to get up.
And that's the lesson they need to very quickly learn. I think.
And I think ultimately, they have been better recently. Obviously, the third period letdowns haven't been good, but they have points in 4 of 5.
Yep.
They should have won in Toronto after obviously a breakdown again and a mistake, a couple of them.
Here you go, Toronto. Have the game.
Yeah. But it's just like they're actually playing better than.
Well, they're not playing good right now.
They're not playing good, but they're somehow winning these games. So they need to figure out how to just take that next step, and winning games will be easier for them.
Well,
it's so difficult.
When they're look at like the second half of the season or second like 2/3 of the season, they just whether they're blowing out a team or if they'd either blow out a team or they would be in like a really tough game and they would just find a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, we're like we're playing good enough to win the game in some instances, but we just don't have that fire, that closeout passion to see it through and get the W. It's so weird. And yeah, you can connect it to like the kind of emotional side of it from a Stanley Cup run like they had, but at some point they got to figure it out. They just got to. Like, that's the most obvious statement to say, but they got to figure it out. And they got to get connected. There's a bunch of new people there. I like the term connected. What they really need is a rookie party, which I don't know if they have a rookie on the team somewhere. They might not have one.
They haven't had the Halloween party.
They got to get connected.
No, No Halloween party, no rookie party.
They did not do a Halloween party by all reports this year. So makes you think. Makes you think,
I have a
boys.
feeling they did.
And we just didn't see any pictures of
No,
it
It might have
I
been a
don't
house
think
party.
they
Maybe they did
could've.
like a house party or something.
Are you
underground.
breaking that?
Oh, I've no.
Oh,
You want me to get Crawford to hit the streets?
We need someone out there.
She's the people's insider.
She's got sources. Kevin is in. Tyler's going to go to the grave believing the Oilers have good goaltending. Cedric is in. Pickard was really good. He stopped that short-handed shot. Pickard made 2-3 10-bell saves in that hockey game last night. He was good. And this year, let me just, again, I like throwing out numbers when you guys try to push things on me. But goalies who've played 300 5-on-5 minutes this year, there's 47 of them in the NHL. Pickard is 15th in 5v5 save percentage.
Pickard is.
Pickard is.
Yeah, okay. We're Skinner.
38th out of 47.
That's pretty good.
We literally had a conversation about it yesterday. It was our giant question. It was like, do the Oilers have a goaltending problem?
Yes.
I think we determined
Jay, it's
one half of it needs to be better and more.
We have a lot of
consistent.
problems. Goaltending at the moment is also a problem. If
Yeah,
you can't acknowledge that goaltending is part of the problem right now,
yes,
granted there is multiple problems, then you're crazy.
but I'm also acknowledging that the goaltending is going to get better. Stuart Skinner is not this goalie.
yeah,
He's this
Like-
goalie
like-
for the first month of the season every year, but then he turns into regular Stuart Skinner.
sure.
yeah, I agree with both. I think the goaltending right now on one half is not good enough.
Their 16-game winning streak last year was fueled by
Yep,
Stuart
Skinner
Skinner being
playing
the
well.
best goalie in the NHL for that stretch.
And the team playing really well in front of it.
It was a
Skinner playing
collective
well,
effort.
for
I'm
sure.
not trying to diminish Skinner's performance, but the team was also playing very well. And
Sure, but he had a 1.5
Yep.
goals against average over that
Yep.
stretch, which is remarkable.
Yep, 100%. But
So-
at some point,
Yeah.
you might be having be willing to let go of that.
Okay. Do you think his save percentage right now is better or worse than it was through 12 games last year?
Oh, it's probably marginally better,
It's better.
but
And he
it's still
turned it
below
around.
9.
I know, but he turned it around last year is my point. Like, you
Yeah.
can't look at this 1 month and be like, we're writing off Stuart
I
Skinner.
know, but
because
if
of it.
it's and I'm not here to I'm not talking about shitting on Skinner right now. I've got concern about goaltending right now, and Skinner happens to be a goalie. If he's in this same like 890 and it's halfway through the season, then or 877,
Yeah, if at game 41,
then now your argument is just totally dismissed, right? Because we're now into the second half of the season.
yeah, if he
And
doesn't turn
and
it
hasn't-
around, sure.
Yeah, and what's our record like halfway through the season if he's still at 877?
Mistaken Mexican is in. If Kapanen scores in his first game, I will buy Tyler a jersey. Cup year, Stu will figure it out. There you go.
That's what happens when you win the 50-50.
So okay, then I'll make you another deal, because I was already thinking in my head that I would just hedge it by putting a bit of money on Kapanen to score first, and then like you're kind of good. So then what we'll do, Mistaken Mexican, is if Kapanen scores in his first game, you buy me a jersey, and then I'll make a donation to a charity of your choice, and we'll wash everything out. And then there will be a Kapanen jersey purchased.
Then you'll get the tax receipts, and then you got a jersey for 50% off.
Way to go.
I'm not my own business.
No, personal donation.
Oh, I can get a tax receipt for that? It's important to note.
Yep, that's
Okay.
some life advice.
Thank you for
there.
the super chat, Mistaken Mexican. Colton, way too many passengers, and then Mulick followed it up with, they are missing all their worker bees, Holloway, Fogle, McLeod. And someone was doing the side-by-side of Fogle and Arvidsson and their season stats so far this year. And obviously we know how Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. So this all comes into the short for giant question I wanted to ask you guys today. And I know this is going to open up a conversation, and we don't have a ton of time to dig into it. So maybe we should have saved it for an off day. But regardless, shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. Hockey fans helping hockey fans, and they still have their free valet service. It's not going anywhere. In fact, Nation Valet is only getting better. Never visit the dealership again for car service. Get $500 towards a service plan for all Nation citizens with the purchase of a vehicle. But the best part about the valet service is you don't need to have purchased your vehicle at Sherwood Ford. You can take advantage of it. Call the dealership. Find out more today.
Valet packages are almost ready too.
Giddy up. Giddy up. If you could undo one of Jeff Jackson's offseason moves, which was a conversation you and I had off the air about a week ago, where it was like, maybe we were too quick to crown that the summer of Jeff, as we kind of did. But if you could flip-flop, undo one move Jeff Jackson did this summer, what would you do?
I would Well, honestly, I think it's pretty straightforward. I would figure out how to get Holloway or Broberg.
I would have
done.
signed them both before an offer sheet could have even been
yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
Those two should have been July 1 signings.
Yeah.
I know RFAs can be a little bit different, but like you should have signed those two guys before you signed Perry and Yaremchuk.
Perry, Yanmark, Brown.
Even Brown, I'm fine with Brown. He makes less $1 million.
Josh Brown, not Connor.
Oh, Josh, wow, $1 million.
I know, but I'm just saying, like you. I'm just saying you.
No, for
should
sure.
have.
Yeah, I think I'm totally fine with Skinner and Arvidsson. I think those are good moves at the moment. In the moment, they made a lot of sense to me. But letting Holloway and Broberg go is not good.
No,
I would have still made the McLeod trade.
I would too.
I think McLeod, and I get it, he's having a great season. He was not doing that here, and he would not have done that here.
But is that maybe not a question of how the Oilers are using their players, though?
I think that is interesting when you look at the players they've brought in, and they're also not doing well and not being utilized correctly.
Yeah,
Jeff Skinner.
Is there one you would have undone?
Undone. Honestly, it's just the move we didn't do in time. Like losing those two, it was like both were taking a step. They were taking a step right before our eyes.
And I do think, like, you can keep a lot of veteran guys around, right? But I just think there is something now that we're watching this team when you lose that youthful energy, which I know we all value veterans who go out and don't make mistakes and have been there and have played the game. But there's something about having a couple golden retrievers in your lineup who are just going to go out there and run around. And
they keep the room loose.
They went and they lost Fogle, McLeod, Holloway, Broberg. And they brought in Henrique or kept Henrique, Yanmark, Perry, and then you could say Stetcher, you could say Josh Brown, you could say whatever veteran defenseman you want to plop in there. You can't do 4. You can't do that big of a swing like that. And if you sat there and said, you know what, McLeod for Savoy is a great move for us because we like the upside of Savoy, which I agree. I do that trade again. So we're going to keep Henrique. And then if you sit there and say, okay, we value what Corey Perry brings in the room and we want to bring back Connor Brown, then Yanmark, I would have kept Yanmark over Perry though. So it's the reverse. But like then you have to sit there and say, okay, what vet are we going to let go? And for me, the one, even though he's off to a good start, it's Perry still for me because you had to healthy scratch him for multiple stretches in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
He's unplayable.
He didn't want to come back for league minimum. So if you want to win a Stanley Cup, you play for league minimum when you're his age and you have $100 million in the bank. You play for league minimum. And how much did Dylan Holloway want? 1.2, 1.3? As soon as Corey Perry sits there and says, I need 1.1 or whatever, you go, okay, sorry, we have a really young guy who can probably score 12 to 15 goals next year. Corey Perry doesn't kill. Corey Perry doesn't help you on the power play. They like him. I get it. Like Leon Draisaitl clearly likes him because whenever there's an opening on his line, Perry's the one getting slotted up. But it's just one too many vets was the mistake. And even to Frank's made this point, and now that he's playing on the fourth line, I think it's even more apparent. Maybe you didn't need both Skinner and Arvidsson. Maybe you had to go get a defenseman.
But I could agree with that, especially after losing Broberg. Broberg, it's a different situation, but
I'd be curious, and I don't know off the top of my head, just going through and looking at the defensemen that were paid $3 million this summer.
Yeah, I mean the list isn't good.
I think adding Skinner was a good idea. I really don't see Skinner and Arvidsson as mistake signings, and I get the idea of you could have got a defenseman to do it, but I don't know, you could have just kept Cody Ceci, I guess.
I wouldn't. Yeah,
I wouldn't have either, but
no.
it's the same argument, right? And don't trade Cody Ceci away if you want to keep an older defenseman. He makes $3 million.
Yeah. There you go. That's a short board giant question. Maybe that's a bigger conversation to have. We'll include some salary cap stuff. We got some off days coming up because the Oilers play obviously tonight, and then they play Thursday, Saturday. Next week though is nothing till Friday. They have a mini bye next week.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
we'll take the week.
Rest up for the nation vacation.
Yeah. Snow is in. Can we get a side by side of Liam and Kapanen, please?
He's not here. He's on a flight.
Is he?
I see it.
Not even close.
It's not a great picture of Kasperi Kapanen. I'll add that.
It's a great picture of me though. Wow. Look at that flow. That's a good haircut.
McDoust is in. How can Tyler say Skinner will figure it out, Stu, but not extend the same argument to Skinner and Arvidsson, who are proven point producers in the league? When have I said that Arvidsson and Skinner won't figure it out?
Don't recall.
Also, if you're going to sit here and say Skinner and Arvidsson are proven point producers in the league, Stuart Skinner is a proven number one goalie in this league. 50-plus starts back-to-back seasons, 900 better save percentage back-to-back seasons, has taken a team to a Stanley Cup final. So, again, how can you extend that argument and say and look at the past for Arvidsson and Jeff and not give the same thing to Stu, right? Like, I can flip that right back if you want me to. So,
one thing for Arvidsson that I'm past the excuse of giving him is he was injured last season. He missed the start of the season and came back in March.
It's not the same as Connor Brown.
No, it's different. He had 11 points in 18 games to end the regular season. Like, he came back and played well. He's just not playing well right now.
I see higher chances of Jeff Skinner turning it around than Stuart Skinner turning it around. I think you're insane. I think you're absolutely insane.
Well, they're not even giving Jeff Skinner the chance.
I'm willing to hear that comment. I'm not saying I fully agree with it, but
Jeff Skinner got bought out by Buffalo because he couldn't compete
at $9 million a year.
They didn't need the cap space that bad.
That's a fair point. $9 million.
I know.
He's not a $9 million player.
But they were willing to go to the negatives to get him off their roster. Buffalo's roster. Just saying. I do think he'll turn it around, though. I would still, if you set the line at 19.5, I'm taking the over on Jeff Skinner this year. He's going to have a run where he scores 10 goals in 15 games at some point. I'm confident in Jeff Skinner doing that. He just needs the opportunity, and that's where they're making a mistake. As much as I hate the blender, not giving, and I guess this isn't even like a blender thing, but like they've been so patient with Arvidsson, Podkolzin, and Draisaitl, even though they're not producing. And I like that. They're good defensively, and I think they're doing good things. Give them time. But why was that opportunity not afforded to either Skinner and McDavid or Skinner, Henrique, and Brown, which were also doing good things together?
I wonder if Skinner, I agree with you, by the way. Skinner, Draisaitl, and Brown would be a good trio. And then you move down Podkolzin to the third line. But Yaremchuk's actually playing pretty well, to his credit.
Yep. Yaremchuk's having a great year.
So, to your surprise?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
I don't recall ever saying stuff about him.
Okay, let's move along. Keys to victory for tonight. Should we do that? Now let's do betting. Let's do betting. Let's do a little betting. No, Jay seems disappointed to be cut into this segment. Brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, NATION. Jay, are you giving up on the Podkolzin goal?
Well, yes. And you caught me at a really bad spot yesterday because I was in Toronto.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the lines.
Oh.
So I'm like, and I couldn't build a same gamer because of where I was. So I was like, just go Podkolzin.
Jay is not betting on a Podkolzin goal tonight, though. I'm going to go first. I'll give my picks. I'm coming off a loss after coming off a win, but I'm just keeping it easy here. Zach Hyman, 4+ shots on goal. He would go on runs last year where he would do this in like 5 of 6, 7 of 8. Like he'd go on his shot heaters. He hadn't hit this in 4 straight. Then he hit it last game. I like him to keep going tonight against the Senators. 4+ shots on goal for Zach Hyman. Liam, your pick.
Jerry did it.
Whoa.
I went big.
Yeah, you're going to hit.
But even this is like, I like the pieces of this.
There's a lot of legs to this.
It's a 4-leg parlay. We have a Draisaitl goal.
Yeah.
13 on the season, I think. Right? Oilers win because they have to.
Yep.
Skinner over 1.5 shots. I liked that. And then McDavid assist. Plus 550. That should extend my lead.
I like that play, and I might be tailing you on that one.
All aboard.
Jay, what do you like tonight?
Well, I formatted a parlay, and I went Oilers money line in Oilers in regulation.
Okay.
Sorry,
Oilers reg,
because I want them to put up north of 5 goals tonight.
Okay,
I think they need to. If they're going to break out of this slump, they're going to just explode with offense, and when they do that, Connor's going to get 2 points.
All right.
So that seems like it should be more than plus 300. And it's very off-brand for me. That seems light.
That is,
but I also need a W.
That is fair. You are 0-11.
I need a dub. I need a dub in a big way.
Jay only hits dingers.
Can't wait for the Oilers to win 4-3 in regulation.
That's probably a double.
Yeah.
That's
you know what?
That's a double.
It's plus 300. Let's call it a triple.
Triples are tough, man.
I know.
Triples are tough to get.
You got to have good speed.
You got to hit in one of those weird corners so we get a good bounce.
Get it right under the wall. Stuck in there. It doesn't bounce out.
Do we have our friends at Sherwood Ford fired us some game notes, right, AB?
Sure do. Yep.
Sherwood Ford, the giant, hockey fans helping hockey fans. And because they're such diehard hockey fans, we trust them to deliver us with their game notes. We're also going to have our keys to victory in a second for our friends over at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. So maybe while we're waiting for the game notes to fire up, let's do our little keys to victory for Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. What do you guys want to see tonight from the Oilers? I'll be simple. Middle of the ice. Get to the slot. If you have the puck in the middle of the ice, Podkolzin did it twice last game where he walked into the top of the zone and had a chance to shoot and dished it to the outside. There was a shift last game where the Oilers had 3 pucks in the middle of the ice, and instead of shooting them, they passed them to the outside. You need to own the middle of the ice tonight.
Yeah.
You're better than Ottawa. Even though they're scrappy, even though they have some young pieces, they're skilled, all of that. Ottawa is a fine team.
Yeah.
You're better than them. You're more experienced than them. Play like it tonight. Dominate the middle of the ice.
The one in the third period from Podkolzin was crazy.
It was egregious.
Absolutely, like,
It's like he doesn't want to score.
I know.
I know.
Power through the neutral zone and then just like pass it off. I think it was Derek Ryan, maybe whoever it was.
He just forces like that's a confidence thing. And you hear Louie talk about how he can rip the puck.
Yeah.
Like, what are we even talking about?
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
My key to victory. I'm going to go simpler than you.
Yep.
How about we get a goal?
Hey.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
A goal should help us win
Yeah,
some
a
games
goal.
here. Get that one down.
Mine's very similar, and it aligns also perfectly with my bet. Score 5 or more goals today, please.
Just hammer them.
Just hammer them. And if you do that, we will win.
Yeah.
Let's
honestly.
get that taste of goal scoring back.
That's all they had.
Like blood in the water for a shark. They just get them hungry.
Squishy says 4.5 hits total. That's a good key. Bailey says power play goals. Let's figure it out. Don't hate that either, Bailey. All right, let's get to our game notes from our friends at Sherwood Ford. All right,
The Oilers have outshot the opposition in 15 of their last 16 games.
The Senators have 6 players who have scored more than 5 goals this season. The Oilers only have 2.
The Oilers have a 12-2-1 record against the Ottawa Senators in the last 15 games.
Attaboy,
I love Esky. What a delivery.
I kind of just, I like everyone they send over there. Shout out to David as well. But if the game notes could just be Esky every day, I would take that. He's great. What a bundle of energy. I'm confident the Oilers are going to win just after hearing Esky say that.
Yeah.
How many points for Connor McDavid in his last 15 games against the Senators?
Oh, I don't. 32.
30.
Oh, I was gonna guess 30. I thought that's too even.
Like if you gave me a chance, I was gonna say 26.
Yeah,
42 points, 24 games.
Wow.
How many?
42.
Damn.
Well, remember the Canadian bubble
Oh,
year?
those
He
were
just
the days.
feasted. We have to last year. You know, my key to game: get that bubble mentality.
Yeah.
Get that Canadian bubble mentality. The Canadian division. Let's go.
So what
Game
year?
note.
What year was that?
21, 22, right? Or 20.
Yeah, it would have been
20,
21, 22.
or just
They beat them 8-0. They were 8-0 against.
8-0, just absolutely hammered them.
That was awesome.
No, 21, 22.
No, it was 20. It was a 21 season.
20, 21, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Oilers went 9-0 and
I don't
outscored them 41-18. Oh
Pretty
my
good.
God. What were some of those
I think
scores?
there was one game that was really high, and I think they like pushed back a little bit.
And Stuart Skinner played that game, didn't he? Wasn't that his first ever game?
Oh, that first ever game. Yeah, that was that'd be a high scoring
it was
game.
8-5.
yeah.
That was it.
So they won 8-5. They won 4-2, 3-1, 3-2, 3-2, and then they ended the year they had 7-1, 6-2, and then 4-2, and then 3-1. Yeah, they just had no luck. And Ottawa wasn't even bad that year.
How'd they finish?
Their record that season,
They're bad.
but it was like they just kept losing to the Oilers. Like their record against every other team was fine. Their head-to-head results that year. So they went 0-9 against the Oilers. They went 6-3 against the Flames, 6-3-1 against the Habs, 4-4 against the Leafs, 3-4-2 against the Canucks, and 4-5-1 against the Jets. So no one dominated them except Edmonton.
They didn't even finish last in the Vancouver Canucks finished last in the division. Wow.
All right. That is a wrap on today's edition of the show. We're going to have a new episode of Oilers Nation Radio dropping wherever you get your podcast from, probably right around 2:45, 3 o'clock today. So that'll drop at 3 o'clock. You do ONR for an hour. Boom. It's done. 4 o'clock, you load up Pre-Gaming with Boardsy live right here on the Oilers Nation YouTube. Let that bring you up until puck drop. Then Oilers Nation After Dark immediately following the game tonight. It should be hopefully a good one, but regardless, AB and the guys will bring it on After Dark.
It's been spicy lately.
I believe
It's
that.
been spicy.
You had the one guy watching from the BPs.
Yeah, he's trying to fight everyone. It's good.
They had a guy in their chat saying, Argyle Boston Pizza right now. Who wants the smoke?
Yeah. Saturday night.
Pretty good.
Is he a Leaf fan or something?
No, he's an Oilers fan.
Just mad.
Mad at other Oilers fans?
Yeah, tensions are high right now.
Some sort of Oilers Nation fight club where when you're frustrated about certain things, just meet up and just beat the hell out of each other.
Up.
Yeah. Okay. Good show. Louie DeBrusk was great. Tomorrow, Frank Saravalli has a new trade targets list dropping, his first of the year. Also, the Bruins may have fired their coach in the last hour. Nobody knows for sure.
What do you mean?
Apparently, there's
a scoop.
Yeah, Pete Blackburn and the guys are talking about it. Apparently, he's gone, but no one's announced it. Yeah, JT Miller's taken an indefinite leave from the Vancouver Canucks. There is a whole bunch of stuff going on around the NHL. So tomorrow, win or lose, at least we'll have Frank to give us.
The other thing, Matthews is in Germany.
Yeah, Matthews.
Things are fine. Things are totally cool.
Matthews is in Germany seeking a specialist for the injury that he's been day-to-day with for 3 weeks. It's a good time around the NHL right now.
Ovi got hurt.
Ovi's hurt week to week. In the 82 game seasons Alex Ovechkin has been a part of, he's never played fewer than 70 games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. There's a lot going on, including Oilers and Senators tonight. Pre-gaming at 4, post-game right after. Then we'll be back tomorrow at noon Mountain Time with Frank Saravalli. Enjoy the hockey tonight and oil up.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation Every Day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.